Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deborah Young and I am the CEO of the RegTech Association. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting today and pay my respects to elders past and present, and offer a very warm welcome to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander friends with us today. A big warm welcome to RegTech Association members and guests and to our presenters. Thanks very much for joining us in our Conduct, Culture and Ethics RegTech Edge showcase event. To date, we've had nearly 14,000 people from more than 85 countries attend our programs. And today's topic around conduct, culture and ethics was identified by respondents in a recent research report that we did as equal with regulatory compliance as the #1 risk area for institutions in our ecosystem. And this is not surprising to regulated institutions, given that the culture of an organisation drives the conduct. According to effective governance, culture and conduct risk is the uncertainty and potential for loss or failure, which is caused by human behaviour or the decisions of employees. And it's a risk that appears to slip through the majority of existing risk management systems. And so it should also be said that conduct and culture risks are faced by all institutions and organisations everywhere, irrespective of the industry. Today, I'm pleased to say we had 125 registrations from 12 different countries, and we have an excellent spread of attendees from regulated institutions, regulators, investors, as well as 37 RegTech companies. So I just wanted to quickly go through some housekeeping before we get underway and we do some introductions. Today's presentations will be recorded, and every registered delegate will receive a recording. So even if people don't make it online today, they rest assured they will receive a recording. If I could ask everybody to have their cameras and mics off, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And we will invite the presenters to turn those cameras and mics on as they're coming up to the virtual podium. And if we could put all questions for the presenters, and we're encouraging you to ask lots of questions, but please put those questions in the chat. Don't be shy, pop them in there and we'll ask the presenters to actually jump online onto the chat and answer those directly with you. You will also see some polls come up throughout proceedings. We'd really appreciate it if you could answer those poll questions. To our presenters today, you only have 5 minutes. It isn't long. Make sure that you get to the point of the problem that your solution solves, and the burning question that everybody wants to know is who else you're working with. So please spend the majority of your time talking about the problem that you solve and who you are working with. Rebecca Engel, our MC from Microsoft, will turn her camera on at the 4.5-minute mark. So as soon as you see her turn her camera on, you will know that that's time for you to start wrapping up. And if you see my image come up, that means you're double trouble and we are going to cut you off. And this is just so that we ensure that from first speaker to last speaker gets equal amount of time. So our presenters today are in this order: Comply Space, Comtrac, Know Your Distributor, RegChain and VoxSmart. So welcome to all of you. And please make sure that you do check that chat function to see if there is any questions for you. And as I said in the briefing, it would be really great if you could pop up any case studies or any web links that you think would be useful, or alternatively your contact details if you'd like people to reach out to you directly. So it is my great pleasure now to introduce Rebecca Engel, who is a Director of Financial Services Industry at Microsoft. Rebecca has over 22 years of financial services experience and has held leadership roles across banking, wealth management and insurance, which have included P&L, operations and risk management responsibilities. Through her role at Microsoft, she strives to make a genuine contribution to the financial services industry through driving digital transformation and the creation of value within the industry. Rebecca is also a non-executive director of the RegTech Association and holds an MBA from MGSM and is a member of the Australian Institute of Company Directors. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Rebecca to the virtual stage. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks, Deb, and thank you for asking me to host this really important session on conduct, culture, and ethics. And I think I need to start in a place, and I'll keep my remarks quite brief, but I think I need to start in a place that we're all, I think, quite familiar with, because we all sort of dine out on the advent of the Hayne Royal Commission. What happened? Did they go far enough? Did enough executives lose their jobs? Was it a bit of a beat up? I'll keep my opinions to myself, but I do often ask myself whether the Royal Commission would have happened had the digital technologies that are emerging today were available 10 years ago. Would it have happened? And further, I do wonder if we are continuing to set our financial service executives up for success to ensure that the communities that they serve can have trust in those organisations. So let me just quickly share a story. As my cat walks potentially past my face and into the camera view. I was part of a senior leadership team that held a leadership conference for a team of ours. We covered many topics in that day. We covered customer success stories, leadership values, how we were tracking financially, but we also did spend quite a significant amount of time on risk management and the issues that we were facing. This was unusual for this organisation. But let me just break into that. On tables, we did some case studies, a bit like hypotheticals, if you will, that drew out some of the businesses that the risks were facing and how we should respond. One of those case studies was actually based on a real life example. During the feedback session, I decided to take my peers to task over the fact that nearly everyone around the table on that particular case was responsible for the outcome, which did actually damage the reputation of the organisation and, more importantly, the lives of a number of customers. Unfortunately, managing conduct risk should not just be reliant on one individual or a team of individuals. What we need to do, and what we will be presented with today as part of this session, is a suite of tools that can be developed into a new ecosystem that comes together with new methodologies, risk assessments, incentives, and business processes that can really shift a culture. Everyone know that the culture we step over is the culture we get, and we have to create systems, processes, and insight to manage that culture. And my cat agrees with me as well. At Microsoft, we take our culture incredibly seriously. We know the position that we have in the globe and the impact that we have on all of our customers, and realise that sometimes we act at the edge of ethics, and the tools that we create could sometimes be used for nefarious actions. We take this seriously, but also, to give you an example, we have very responsible AI principles, which I'll post in the chat to give you a sense of those, that are genuinely leveraged right through our organisation. Those principles include fairness, inclusivity, reliability and safety, privacy and security, accountability, and most importantly, transparency. And it's so transparent, I'm going to pop some of the incredible details in the chat for you for your own interests. And so for today's 5-minute presentations, I'd like to start. So get yourself ready, Rebecca. I'd like to welcome Rebecca Doran to the virtual podium from ComplySpace. Rebecca, take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rebecca. I think we haven't, the slides have gone a bit. Thank you, just back a little bit, thank you. So ComplySpace is a leading SaaS provider that helps high impact organisations in highly regulated industries meet their governance, risk and compliance obligations. This allows our customers to focus on providing the highest quality of service and care for those they serve. ComplySpace provides services across the aged care, education, not-for-profit and corporate and financial services sectors. Next slide, please. The customers we help on this slide share our vision that nurturing a corporate culture and behaviour is absolutely critical, and a well-informed, trained and compliant staff are the greatest protection for any organisation. At the end of the day, people make decisions, initiate transactions, and they have access to data and processes. Our applications help create a better culture of compliance, make processes more efficient and productive, and improve visibility of an organisation's conduct and culture. Next slide, please. The simple and effective approach to risk management, the 3 lines of defence, is embedded into our software. The objective of our suite of applications is to provide a solution for our customers' operational staff and management working in collaboration with the risk, compliance and internal audit functions in creating a multi-pronged and yet integrated approach to managing risk and helping to achieve objectives. At CompliSpace, we believe there are essential elements needed to assist your 3 lines of defence. Policies that are well designed, well written, consistent, maintained and monitored. Training on policies and procedures on what proper and improper conduct are in the organisation's processes, transactions and interactions, and issue reporting for the employees in the front office and the back office so they can report where things are breaking down or going wrong before they become big issues for the organisation. Next slide, please. We provide our policy to culture methodology to all industries, and our solution for policy, learning, assurance and reporting work together to transform legal obligations into a compliance culture that staff will embrace. CompliSpace provides our customers with policy content taking the pain out of policy writing. We provide the latest legal and regulatory updates, sent as policies, and ready to be customised for your organisation when you are ready. Well-written and maintained policies are not enough. They also need to be communicated and engaged with the workforce. We deliver this on our easily accessible policy application, providing a central digitised repository for all staff to know the things they need to know. Training applies policies to real-world context and aids understanding, which strengthens a compliance culture. On our learning application, we provide associated learning and development to help staff understand their policies and obligations. Our customers' frontline staff use CompliSpace Assurance to report any risks or adverse events simply, efficiently, and easily accessed for real-time reporting. Monitoring compliance in Assurance goes that step further with its dynamic risk management, on-the-go reporting, and notification system that alert you straight away of any high-risk activity. Reporting is integral to a compliance culture, and this is easily achieved with the CompliSpace applications all providing audit trails. See which of your staff are reading policies, completing learning and compliance tasks by running reports on demand or subscribing them to you on a frequency of your choice. Next slide, please. So thank you to the RegTech Association for letting me speak today. Would love to answer any questions anyone might have, or you can contact me to book in a demo for a run through. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca, and you gave us a bit of time back. Thank you. I now have to pass over to Craig Doran, who is apparently no relation to Rebecca. Craig, take it away.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks. Yes, no relation to Rebecca, but very strangely enough, we're kind of at the opposite end of Rebecca, where her company obviously is about trying to encourage and compliance in a particular sector. We're kind of at the tail end where people use our software to investigate non-compliance. So it's a really interesting selection of spacing you put us in. So give you a bit of background, our software is used for both criminal investigations for government regulatory agencies, but it's also used for investigations of breaches of code of conduct for the private sector, all those professional standards agencies as well. Now, my name is Craig Doran, about 22 years with the Queensland Police, and what we built was a digital evidence and brief management platform that allowed us to streamline investigations by giving investigators the points they need to prove and map evidence as they go along. Okay, next slide, please. So the best way to describe it, and I'm just going through a couple of criminal justice process slides here, but it relates to professional standard investigation exactly the same way. But in last year alone, there was $16.4 billion spent on criminal investigations and prosecutions in Australia. Now, of those 750,000 plus cases that came out of that criminal justice process, up to 61 to 86% of those failed to commence on the due date. Next slide, please. And now the reason they failed to commence on the actual due date is generally because one of these four reasons. The first is that the investigation report or the brief evidence, it just wasn't ready at the time of the actual that the proceeding was determined to start. The second one was that when they got these brief evidence, often quite late, when they examined them, they found there was a need for additional evidence before they could even commence those proceedings. The third one is that because the briefs got there late again, but the late examination of the criminal brief by the stakeholders meant that they just weren't prepared to commence the investigation, the proceedings. And the fourth one, which is just as interesting, is that defendants couldn't even enter a plea of guilty because of that delay in getting the briefs of evidence. They need those evidence to be able to actually plead guilty. Next slide, thanks. So the impact of that, of course, of the delayed proceedings and the millions of dollars that actually resulted from that, there was billions of dollars lost in the agency productivity and court resources. But the investigators had to go back and rebuild the brief or get that extra evidence. All those court resources assigned to that day were stood down for the day, pending for another one. It undermined the public confidence in the justice system. That there's a saying that the justice delayed is also considered justice denied, and overall undermined the morale of the criminal justice practitioners. I can tell you from my own experience, there's been a lot of stand-up debates between investigators and prosecutors as to why the court case hasn't proceeded, and arguments around the quality of the brief evidence. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's understand the source of the problem. The reality is when an investigation is undertaken, it might take weeks or months, and at some point that there is some sort of a commencement proceedings. And then between those two dotted lines, this is where all the delay occurs. There's court-mentioned dates that are set. It might be months in the future or weeks. Then the investigator has to go and put together the brief of evidence, get that brief evidence to the prosecutor to give them a briefing of what they actually need to understand before they can commence the actual trial. And of course, once again, those briefs are often late or they're rushed, and that results in that 61 to 86% of matters fail to proceed on the due date. Next slide, please. So just quickly, now the recommendations of reviews in the criminal justice system is that to fix this problem, that they have to, investigators should start the brief evidence at the commencement of the investigation. Prosecutors and legal officers should be able to read and consider both partial and full briefs at the earliest opportunity, and that evidential material should be fast-tracked to all those legal reps. Next slide, please. So what comtrac does in its simplest form, we provide a digital application where as they commence the investigation, they're building their brief of evidence, they're mapping the evidence they have to prove or substantiate as they go along. So it starts the brief from the commencement investigation, means legal officers have always got access to that brief at any time, and the comtrac will fast track that evidential material to those agencies at the very earliest opportunity. Next slide, please. So comtrac, and I mentioned at the start, it's not just used for criminal investigations, it's used for undertaking workplace investigations and code of conduct investigations. Like from 8 years ago, we have dozens of Commonwealth and state government agencies and private sector agencies, like banks, that are now using our application to actually streamline those investigations. Next slide, please. So like I said, it is used for both code of conduct, workplace investigations, and criminal investigations. And the key thing about comtrac is designed so that when an investigation is finished, then the investigation and the brief or investigation report is pretty much completed, so they can then just move on to the next one without these long delays of waiting for these reports and briefs to be produced. Right, according to my time, I've almost nailed it.
You did well, Craig. Very good.
All right,
thank you so much.
Awesome.
Oh, and my bell's ringing. There we go. Thank you so much. Know your distributor. Tashri, are you there for our lovely conversation? Awesome. This is exciting. Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. My name's Tashri Dabral. I'm a principal at PX Partners. We're a GRC solutions firm based in Sydney, and I'm here to talk to you about our Know Your Distributor solution, which, as the name suggests, helps product issuers monitor distributors that sell their products. Next slide, please. So a little bit about why from a regulatory perspective. So the design and distribution obligations that came into effect in the financial service sector late last year really shifted the landscape of how financial products are to be sold to retail clients. So put simply, we've moved from a disclosure regime where the onus was largely on the consumer to read the T's and C's, to a regime that's intended to focus on conduct and consumer outcomes. So specifically, and that's what's on the slide there at the moment, there is now an obligation on product issuers to conduct due diligence on the distributors that sell their products. Next slide, please. And what we know from similar regimes overseas is that these due diligence processes can be extremely manual and quite tedious, with issuers and distributors swapping PDFs, Word docs, spreadsheets, different questions, different levels of detail, emails not being saved, clarifications not being followed up. You get the picture. So what the KYD solution does is it really sits between product issuers and distributors. If you're a distributor, you complete the thorough industry-specific questionnaire online once, and then you can control access to which product issuers see your responses. If you're a product issuer, this solution really is your end-to-end tool for distributor monitoring, and I'll come to that a little bit more in a moment. Next slide, please. So what we're not about is really like pushing data. So this isn't about collecting data points from your distributors. What we believe in and what the tool's designed to do is really give you an understanding of the underlying control environment of the distributors as a key driver of their conduct. Next slide, please. So as an issuer, by signing up to the KYD solution, you are signing up to that you're comfortable that our approach to due diligence is, and the questions we ask are appropriate. So this slide there gives you an idea of the coverage that the tool provides in terms of topics and subject matter, which really is just sound counterparty due diligence. And the questionnaire and approach has been designed by GRC professionals who each have over 20 years of experience in the financial services industry, including myself. Next slide, please. I won't say too much on this other than to say the solution's very much tried and tested. So while we've customised the product for the Australian market to meet the DDO obligations, the underlying technology is already widely used in Asia and Europe to meet similar obligations. Next slide, please. I've touched on a lot of this, so I won't recap other than to say that the key benefit for distributors is that they complete the questionnaire once and then they just need to update responses annually. Next slide, please. For product issuers, the big benefit really is the time saving in using the KYD solution compared to performing all of that activity manually. So a cohort of existing clients calculated that this was an 80% time saving. Next slide, please. Other benefits for the product issuers, one that actually, it took us a little bit by surprise because it seemed to be one that matters a lot to the issuers, is that it's the focus on the commercial relationship. So what that means is that all the onboarding and chasing of responses is done by KYD. So there's a support team, it's not just the technology. And there are certain clients in certain sectors that see this as, of particular value because of the commercial power dynamics in the industry, where issuers can feel beholden to distributors and therefore can be reluctant to be the ones chasing up and actively performing the due diligence. This way we do that work and they just can assess the results. The other key benefit for product issuers is that it is a central record for all of their activity. So once they log into the system, they can request responses, view responses, document their assessments, upload files, seek clarifications on responses, generate reporting, check status, all of that, all in the one portal. So no saving down emails, maintaining spreadsheets and the rest of it. Next slide, please. There's just a few snapshots of some of the workflow and some of the data that you can generate, or dummy data that you can generate from the system, with a few clicks. I'll touch a little bit on the questionnaire design. We've been quite deliberate to ask, where possible, targeted yes or no questions, rather than open-ended questions in the way that we've designed the questionnaire. So for example, we wouldn't ask, please describe your product governance arrangements. Instead, we would say, have you documented your product governance arrangements? Are they approved by a board? Are they monitored, et cetera, et cetera. The reason we do this is for the few reasons, actually. So less subjectivity and less variation in the quality of the information you'll receive back as a product issuer. It also means it's more easy to compare responses and the system can RAG rate the responses for you. So we've got all those settings in there. And as the distributor completing the questionnaire, as well as the issuer reviewing the questionnaire, it is just a lot faster to complete and faster to review as well. Next slide, please. So the clients of the KYD solution are the product issuers. So they're charged an annual license fee based on the number of distributors that they're using the solution for. It's free for the distributors to use because if you like, they're the ones providing the content. While we don't tailor the questionnaire for each client, we're very happy to create tailored solutions for a particular subsector of the industry or use case, as we have done for the funds management industry off the back of an approach adopted by the industry body there. That's all from me. My contact details are up on screen now. Very happy to arrange a demo or address any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's good, in direct response to a certain reg that was pushed out last year. So thank you so much. We now have Ruth from RegChain to join us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rebecca. You can go to the next slide, please. So just a quick history of RegChain, the platform, and Stride, the solution offering that I'll be talking to you about today. The parent company of this technology is Moneycatcher, which is a 6-year-old fintech that's delivered outcomes in the past for some high-profile, both Australian and global organisations. And during that time, it was the early evolution of the technology. And in 2022, the RegChain platform was released to market with the first service of the Stride home loan product and pricing engine. And what we did with this engine is to ensure that we could incorporate the new and evolving compliance and legislation regulation that had come out of both CDR and also the one that was just spoken about previously in terms of product design and distribution obligations. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Great. The one before, the great. Yeah, lovely. So the Stride solution is an agnostic product and pricing offer solution for lending and mortgage products. It is agnostic in terms it can be through any distribution channel, the aggregation channel, the lending channel, or a tech partner channel. It can be for one product, for multiple products in a product suite from your organisation, or an entire portfolio or panel of lenders from multiple organisations. Next slide, please. There are a number of key features and benefits of the Stride solution that deliver both retail growth opportunities and also faster results and streamlined processes for both consumers and internal customers, including your team. But what the key objectives or benefits are in relation to what we're talking about today is that there is objective real-time decision making about home loan product and pricing offers, which are not influenced by any subjective, personalised human decision-making process. There are embedded policies and compliance requirements in that real-time decision, and you get ensuring that there is no risk in products being offered outside of your target market area that you have determined a product is suitable for. In addition to that, you can risk-based price those offers to ensure that you are protecting your margins and your funding position, and you can offer it through any distribution channel that your home loan products are offered. Next slide, please. I'm going to take you through the 3 steps that you could create your own product repository and product and pricing offers in the RegChain Stride solution, and then I'll share with you the partners that we're working with and how they're distributing those that offering or those benefits to their partner networks. We have a unique capability of being able to import products from the open banking CDR APIs. We are also working through our outsourced services provider accreditation, so we can handle and manage consumer CDR data. What this means is at the click of a couple of buttons, you can create a product repository that is getting the up-to-date product and pricing information around any home loan product that is available in the Australian market, including your own. So you could create a product repository of your own organisation. You can import products from competitors or from your distribution channel panel, or you can create your own white label product with your own product policy that is embedded into the platform. Next slide, please. Once you have created your product repository, you then have the ability to configure both the product policy rules and the product pricing rules. You can then link those product rules to your funding source rules so that products are only offered that meet certain funding requirements to ensure that there is no risk that you are funding loans outside of your wholesale funder caps and limitations. So once you have been able to determine your product and your pricing rules, you also have the ability to configure rules around what type of applicants that you want to deal with during your home loan offerings. And so you have the ability to have application credit policy in the credit confidence rules. This means that you can distinguish between your product can be offered to a particular target market without being influenced by the individual applicant information. But then you have the ability to also automate the credit risk policy around the individual. And once the credit risk policy and also the product policy matches, you can offer the home loan to that customer in real time. Next slide, please. You then have the ability to test that on a scenario base, or you have the ability to be able to test that before you release those products to your market. Next slide, please. These are the legislations that we help you comply with. And the final slide is who we work with in the Australian market as our partner distribution program. That's it. Last slide.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. That was pretty great. Thank you. We now need to move on to VoxSmart, and I hope that Mark is somewhere around on the call. There he is. Excellent. Fabulous. Take it away.
Hello, Rebecca. Hey, thank you for the opportunity today to sort of share VoxSmart's showcase. So I thought what I'd do is look at the global markets communication landscape. So and we'll do that through a lens of challenges that have been public in the market. Next slide, please. So what you can see here is kind of two layers to a trade. If you think about the DNA of a trade, it's the trade surveillance transaction data, which are represented as all the data points in those yellow graphs. Think about the traditional stock market ticker, and then all of the communications for all parties, counterparties that are involved in that particular trade. And what we end up with is a set of needles in haystacks where there's lots of comms, we're not sure where it is. Business processes are searching by each channel, and it really does create a challenge. If you think then about where there's rogue actors, the known behaviours of those rogue actors through this trade life cycle can be things like code switching, which is dual language, switching to French when the contract details are sort of spoken about, or spoofing. Next slide, please. So I guess with the title of today, Conduct, Culture and Ethics Risk, this is a good example. It was in the press in July. And I don't want to draw to a particular brand here. I think every organisation, if you look, you'll see challenges. But this is just an interesting example of, the culture and the contact that's being taught, at a time when, if you look at this particular spoof trade, which is where, traders are looking to manipulate the market by opening and closing transactions without them being booked. It's obviously about influencing the market. And this particular guy, the challenge was that he learnt from his manager when he was at Bear Stearns. And that was before JP Morgan acquired them. So if you think about some of the risk of culture, it's really about a merger and acquisition can bring that in. And it just talks to the extensibility of, what the regulated bodies or organisations, what they have to manage. Next, please. So, in Australia, a quick snapshot of the regulatory landscape. You can see on the left-hand side of this table, it's a bit of an eye chart, but really the message here is, the regulatory authorities have in place the right net that's about looking for all of the details that are in trades and making the banks and the global markets accountable to be able to talk to that. Next slide, please. So VoxSmart was established in 2006. It had a reboot through client adoption around our mobile device solution, mobile capture. And we also went on a merger and acquisition path where we acquired the leading industry technology to be brought into the vision that, you know, our leadership group are out of financial markets, and they're putting that solution and vision and capability together with a first-class engineering team, you know, that is enabling this shift for our markets. Next, please. So, you know, I've put it's a busy slide, but the message here is, you know, the green, blue and yellow boxes are our platform. On the left of that, there's a bunch of sources, which is where people are coming in and transacting through. They range from, you know, a trading desk and a dealer turret all the way through to WhatsApp or Teams, wherever people are meeting. And we've been recognised, you know, this year with the AI FinTech recognition of being in the top 100 in the UK, and the same with the RegTech association over there. We're in their top 100. And I guess, you know, our clients are thanking us for, you know, enabling them to streamline all of their comms into one spot and to be able to, from there, you know, conduct what they need to do within the business to be compliant. Next slide, please. If you think about the challenges, you know, any one desk has got over 12 communication sources to it. And the challenge is in here to be able to work out where do we put our resources for what environment and what return. You can see the list there. It's quite demanding. So VoxSmart provide a library out-of-the-box connectors into all of those environments of voice and instant messaging. Next, please. If you think about the challenges that the clients face with that. So, you know, JB Morgan, the consequences are big. 200 million is a fine for letting employees use private WhatsApp accounts to be able to evade some of that regulatory reach. And it even shows in here, you know, that the SEC is directing the banker cell phones to be accessed. The challenge that they had as an example of technology implementation was they went to ask for permissions on the employee phones, and that has been ruled as we can't do that. Next slide, please. I'll just speed up. So some product placement. Our mobile capture solution is for the mobile device. I'm happy to talk to anybody who would like to follow up and get more details. Next, please. What we're about, though, in surveillance, back one. Back. This is the video, don't own your slides. Have I been clicked through?
Apologies, Mark. You've been going over time.
Oh, look at me. What I was about to say was, you know, the needle in the haystack of surveillance, and it's all about the metadata and how you ingest and enable AI and machine learning to work on it. So that's our gig. Sorry, we ran over.
Thank you. Thank you. We were so tight to time. We were going really well. But you can enter all of your, you can enter some of the materials into the chat for everyone to have a good look at it. So thank you very much to all of the speakers. We were incredibly tight. So we've got a bit of time to hand back to Deb to give us a little bit more colour this afternoon. Thanks everyone for attending, and back to Deb.
Thanks very much, and thank you to all of the presenters. We know that this puts you under some pressure to be able to deliver it all within 5 minutes, but part of the joy of this is that it just gives everybody on the line a really quick snapshot of some of the solutions out there that can solve some of these prickly problems. So thank you very much to all of you, and thank you very much, Rebecca, for ably managing us through that. We value our relationship with Microsoft very much. Everybody, you will receive the recording of this tomorrow, and we have some fantastic new events coming up, which are on this slide. But I would, since we are actually, I'm going to give you all an early mark, but what I did want to point out was a couple of things. In about 2 weeks' time, we'll be launching our annual awards, which means that members of the association can nominate. And there are about, I'm going to say between 8 and 10 different categories, so there'll be something in there for everyone. We are encouraging you to please do nominate for those. We've got a cracking judging panel who are just waiting to see those come in. The winners will be announced at our RegTech Awards Gala dinner on the 27th of October, which will be held in Sydney. This is the first time that we've ever run a gala dinner, so please, we're asking for your support on that evening, and it is going to be the first time that we've really come together as a community in 2.5 long years. So it promises to be a great evening. Minister for Customer Service and Digital Economy, Victor Dominello, will be our keynote address. And for any of you that know Victor, you know that that will be a cracking presentation. So please don't miss out. We're really, really pleased as well to say that on the 18th of October, we will have our government as a buyer. So our RegTech for Better Government event. This is a follow-up event to one that we ran last year, which was hugely successful. We are seeing government as a buyer of RegTech really a great opportunity for RegTech right now, not only in Australia, but a number of our RegTechs that serve government are doing very, very well with their solutions, in particular in the UK right now. So please do come along to that event. The difference in that event to our normal events is we will be asking the government to come and present their RegTech case study. So instead of the vendors actually telling the story, it'll actually be the government departments or the regulators coming along to talk about how they identified the need, how they identified the right RegTech solution, and what impact they have managed to get. So please don't miss that one. And our latest new kid on the block, our Workforce Compliance Solutions event, will be on the 8th of September. And what's really interesting about these solutions is they are relevant to every single person on this call. They are relevant to every single organisation on the planet to make sure that you are safely onboarding employees, ensuring that they are getting their right professional development, that they are being paid correctly, and a whole host of other things. So please do come along to that. And then our famous RegTech 101 RegTech Matters will be on the 13th of September, and we'll be joined by Austrac on that particular event. Plus there is more to go. Finally, what's not on this slide is we are in the early stages of developing programs to run in Singapore, London and New York. So watch this space where we are looking at running a very similar event to today, but we'll be running those as face-to-face in those centres around the world, which is super exciting. So I think is that the last slide for me? Oh, there we go. There's some of our achievements in 21-22. You'll receive a copy of this and you can wade your way through that. And I think that there is probably one more slide here, which is just showing what is on our roadmap for the next 12 months. And for those of you on the line who may know an early stage company, we have just launched a brand new affiliate membership category of the association. So we're really looking to build out our pipeline of early stage RegTech companies. So we've just launched a new affiliate membership category, which is available on our website. So if you know anybody that you think could benefit from exposure to the association and the work we do, please do encourage them to come along. There's a lot on that slide. I won't go into all of it